This activity, the new work, you're not going to have any of your pawns, but you are going to need all of your number blocks out. You're going to need your green and your red this time. They're introducing you to negative numbers. So we're going to use our number blocks, and just like with blue pawns and white pawns, we can make 0 pairs. For example, a red 5 and a green 5 together equals 0. A green 3 and a red 3 together equals 0. Together they are 0. So that will be a strategy, a concept that we want to use when we're solving these problems. So let's look at our first one. Our first one says, let's take a negative 3, and the reds are negative, green is positive. So they want us to take a red 3 and a red 4, and they want us to add them together. Well, 3 plus 4 is 7, and these are both red, so that means they're negative. When the signs are the same and you are adding, you simply add the digits and take the sign that each number has. It's really simple when the signs are the same and you're adding. For example, let's look down here at 2b, or excuse me, 1b. We're adding and the signs are the same. We're just going to take a 2 and a 5, put them together. What is 2 plus 5? 7. What color is it? It's red. My signs are negative. So when I'm adding like signs, I'm just going to add the digits and use the sign. And you can use what you know about positive numbers to remember that. We never talked to you about this having a little plus sign out there, but they actually do. So when the signs are the same and we're adding, we just add the digits and we take the sign that's on the numbers. The only thing is, we didn't ever talk to you about adding that little plus sign. And you still normally will not see the little plus sign like we have them right down here on number 2. Most often you're just going to see this written as 5. Most times you're not going to see the plus sign there. They're just doing it on this new work because the whole concept is about positive and negative numbers. The reason they have the parentheses around the negative numbers especially is because they don't want you to think it's a takeaway sign. They want you to look at this now as a negative 3 or the opposite of 3. The opposite of positive 3 is negative 3. But let's go ahead and develop a strategy for how to solve this. This says 5, positive 5, so that's green, and they want us to put this with it. Well, we know that's not the same as just simply adding. But I do see that I have a digit that is less than the other digit. In other words, 3, just any old 3, is less than 5. So I'm going to use the strategy that I was using back in previous lessons, and instead of putting a 5 there, I'm going to make a 5 using a 3 and a 2, because this is still 5. This quantity is still 5. 2 plus 3 is 5. And when I add a negative 3 to it, I have a 0 pair. I can take that 0 pair and take it right off the paper. And all I'm left with is a positive 2. It's green, so I know it's positive, and it shows the number 2. So let's review again what I did there. Instead of using a 5, a positive 5, and a negative 3, I took the larger digit and I replaced it with a quantity that was the exact same amount, but used 2 blocks, and I made sure that one of those 2 blocks was a 3. So I used a 3 and I used a 2 because 3 plus 2 is 5. Pair these two together, they're 0. I'm left with a regular old 2. Now let's go over here to this one. I wish they would have used different numbers, but they chose not to. So here I've got a negative 5, and I'm going to add a positive 2 to it. So again, I look at my digits and I see that this one is larger. 5 is greater than 2. I'm not talking about whether they're negative or positive, just in general. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this one with 2 red blocks, and one of them has to be a 2. So 2 plus 3 would give me a negative 5. And here you can see that I have a 0 pair. I can take that away because its value is 0, and I'm left with negative 3. Negative 3 is what I'm left with. Okay, so those are all the addition problems. The problems down below are takeaway. So I'm going to start with a negative 3, and it wants me to take away a negative 1. So I don't have a negative 1 here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this 3 with 2 blocks that add up to negative 3, but I'm going to make one of them a negative 1. So here's a negative 1, and here's a negative 2. This quantity together is the same as negative 3. Negative 2 plus negative 1 is negative 3. Now it's telling me to take away that negative 1. Boom, it's gone. And I have a negative 2 left. Same strategy over here, except I'm going to start with a negative 4. They're wanting me to take away a negative 2. I don't have a negative 2. So I'm going to replace my 4 with a negative 2, the one that's over here, and whatever I need to put with that to get to negative 4. Well, that would be 2 negative 2's. Negative 2 and negative 2 is the same as negative 4. Now from that amount, it's wanting me to take away a negative 2. What am I left with? I'm left with a negative 2. Okay, let's look at 4a. This says negative 3, take away, a positive 2. All I have are negatives here. I don't have any positives to take away. Well, this is where we use that concept of a 0 pair. I can create any 0 pair with any digits I want. I can use a positive 81 and a negative 81. Together they're 0. I can use a positive 856 and a negative 856. Together, just like that black spot, they are 0. Any number and its opposite together will be 0. Notice this is the same side of the equal sign that I'm going to put these. So I'm going to add a 0 pair. There's my 0 pair with 2's, because positive 2 and negative 2 is 0. So in effect, all I've done is I've added 0 to this negative 3. But now I have a positive 2 right there. And I can take that away. And what am I left with? I'm left with 3 and 2, which is 5. And they're negative. I'm not subtracting 3 minus 2. What I'm left with, I add together. Okay, lesson number 4B. This time I'm going to start with a positive number, and they want me to take away a negative number. Well, I don't have any negatives right here. There's no red blocks right here. There's only the green block. So what I'm going to do is create a 0 pair using this as my starting point. And I'm going to find another block that creates that 0 pair, and I'm going to put it with my positive 3. It tells me to take away that negative 2. Take it away. What am I left with? I'm not left with 32. I'm not left with 23. I'm not left with 3 minus 2. I am left with a 3 and a 2. When you hear that word and, that means add. So 3 plus 2 is 5.